Reading from Charitamrita Madhya Lila 6, verse 75. 74 has no verse, but I'll read it, and it's a small purport with 75. 74 is Bhattacharya Kae Bhattacharya Kae Inhara Praramada Yunvaryana Kalmati Sanyastama Kaihita Rakshana. Bhattacharya inquired Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his fully fledged youthful life. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his fully fledged youthful life, how can he keep the principles of sannyas? So this is verse 75. Nana tararika kalapa Vedanta sabadiya Vigrahara veta mage pravasa kakabila. Nara antantiya kahila Vadavanta sambhaiba Vigraha veta mage pravasa kahiba. Please. Okay. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of ISKCON, Avagyan Slavya Tasmena Tasmai Shri Gure Namaha. I was born in the dark generation, my spiritual master. Open my eyes to the torch of the knowledge of my basis to the spiritual master. I shall continually recite Vedanta philosophy before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so that he may remain fixed in his renunciation, and thus enter upon the path of monism. Purport. According to Samabam Bhattacharya, among sannyasis, the cultivation of Vedanta philosophy helps in becoming detached from sense gratification. Thus a sannyasi can protect the prestige of wearing a loincloth coping. One has to practice sense control as well as the mind control and subdue the 6 forces of speech: mind, anger, tongue, belly, and genitals. Then one must become expert in understanding that devotional service is the Lord, service of the Lord, and thus become a perfect sannyasi. For the purpose one must cultivate knowledge and renunciation regularly. When one is attached to material sense gratification, he cannot protect his sannyas order. So Mahabharacharya suggested that the study of Vyagya, renunciation, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu might be saved from the clutches of the fully fledged youthful desires. Okay. Yeah. So when I only got this, I think yesterday, and so I read the purport, and the first thing that stood out for me was the purpose that one must cultivate knowledge and renunciation. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, we know that chapter 18 is the conclusion, the actual perfection of renunciation. In fact, it's interesting, reading this purport, is that Prabhupada says actually the Bhagavad Gita is finished in 17 chapters. The 18th chapter is a supplementary summarization of the topics discussed before. Anyway, that's a side. That's a little, what they call it. So anyway. So, in the purport, it says that where is it now? Yes, so this is the perfection of renunciation is actually the third part of the Bhagavad Gita. So, Bhagavad Gita is shown that devotional service and nothing else is the ultimate purpose of life. So then, of course, so if this is the perfection of renunciation, so what is the renunciation? Sometimes we misunderstand what is renunciation, because also Bhagavad Gita says, Krishna says, I am the source of all material spiritual worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who know this engage in my devotional service and worship me. So, renunciation means that, we know Krishna, that this is one of his opulences, renunciation. So, as living entities, as devotees, how can we renounce something that we don't own? Because everything belongs to Krishna, everything. Indirectly or directly, everything belongs to Krishna. So how can we renounce? All we have to do is engage in devotional service and use whatever material energy, the external energy, engage that in Krishna's service. This is the proper way of using renunciation. Like Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Thakur, when he went to teach the Babajis at Radhakund proper renunciation, he went there, I think, twice. One time, he went in a Western suit and tie, and in a a Rolls Royce or something. A limousine, yeah. To show the proper use of renunciation. And he went again also in his sannyasi vesh afterwards to teach the proper use of using everything in Krishna's service. Of course, so if we actually use everything in Krishna's service, then we are actually practicing renunciation. And so therefore, just whatever circumstances we're in, whatever our service is, whatever we have, we should use Krishna's service. And I'm thinking, it's not mine, this is Krishna's. So therefore, the proper use of my new independence is to engage whatever we have in our so-called possession should be engaged in Krishna's service. Whatever we have. If we're householders or brahmacharis, it doesn't matter. It's not ours, it belongs to Krishna. Therefore, we should use it in Krishna's service. And then, once we understand that everything does belong to Krishna in the first place, then we can actually be fixed. We will see Krishna. We will see the Lord in everything. And then we'll be fixed more in our chanting and in our bhajan. In our bhajan, we should be chanting or try to be chanting without any deviations from the mind and body. So of course, there's Raghunath Das Goswami. He's an example of renunciation. When he was in Jagannath Puri, under the shelter of Swarup Damodar, and then where his father would send money to him, so to maintain him, and he would, in the beginning, then it was so much money that then he would sponsor feasts for the devotees, and Lord Chaitanya would come. And then eventually he stopped because he realized there was some material motive behind it from his family. And then Lord Chaitanya noticed this, and then he stopped that, and then he asked Swarup Damodar, why is Raghunath Das, where is he? Oh, now he's begging, he's begging at the gate, for donations. Then he stopped doing that. And then eventually he was taking the remnants of Jagannath Mahaprasad that even the cows wouldn't eat from the gutter. Rice, taking that out, cleaning them up. And when Lord Chaitanya heard this, he came and he said to Raghunath Das, he said, why are you holding back the feast from me? But of course, Raghunath Das is a very special personality. He's Rati Manjari in the spiritual world. So we cannot imitate. But we can take the principle that because he was fixed in his bhajan, because he was fixed in his mind, because in one of his books, he's in the Manasiksha, that Manasiksha is said, another book, I forget now what it's called, where he's offering these prayers as flowers, and in his prayers, he's offering these prayers to Srimati Radharani, so to be engaged in service internally. Externally, he was doing these this external sort of renunciation, but internally he was always fixed in his bhajan like this. So the principle is that we can't follow Lord Chaitanya, Raghunath Das, no, because he's a very special personality. But we can, the more we chant, the more we get purified, the more we fix our mind on Krishna, the more we find we will start to renounce, eat less, chant more, read more, and like this, sleep less. But we cannot do it falsely. Also, in the says it now, the perfection of renunciation is that the renunciation, that also is the supreme instruction in the Bhagavad Gita. Savadama Britraja Mam Mikam Savam Praja Hammatram Samaparebhyo Mokshamiya Musacha. So this is supreme instruction. Where is it now? There it is. Yeah, also before that, we know there is the verse, Man mava bhavo bhakto manu yajamaskuru manuyasya satyam te prajane prayasa sami. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail, and I promise you this, because you're my dear friend. So we can see, just like Raghunath Das, he was always thinking of Krishna. So, of course, this from Bhagavad Gita 65, chapter 65, 66, this is the most confidential part of knowledge. We know there's confidential knowledge, more confidential knowledge, and most confidential knowledge. So why is this more confidential? Because it demands surrender, as it says in Sarvadharma Vritraja. And surrender. So it says in, Taviti papratena prapashashena sevaya upashantiti janam janas tatvadashana. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. So because, it's like when I was many years ago working for a government establishment, and I had to sign the Unofficial Secrets Act, even though I was just issuing pencils and rulers and toilet rolls. But I still have to sign the Unofficial Secrets Act, Official Secrets Act. So, and then at that very place, there was more secret stuff, and there was top secret stuff going on. And so therefore, this is like, this confidential knowledge is the most top secret. So then we go to a person who can reveal that knowledge. But first, as it says, we have to surrender to that person. Surrender and then listen. Just like one who's going to university, college, or even, and you got your university lecturer, and you have to surrender to that person immediately. So once you surrender to that person, then that person will give you the knowledge on that, of what you're going to university for. He will give you the knowledge. So you have to surrender to him first, and then he'll give you the knowledge. So we have to surrender first, and then we listen. So also spiritually, when we see an advanced devotee, and we recognize his advanced devotee, we surrender immediately. The other day, I was listening to a description of how one devotee, how he became a disciple of one of Prabhupada's disciples, and he was praying. This is in New York, at New York Temple, and he was praying. He was praying in front of Radha Govinda. Please, Radha Govinda, please send me a spiritual master that will teach me everything about bhakti, and teach in such a way that I can realize it. And then as he finished, he turned around, and this sannyasi came through the door. And immediately he knew that Radha Govinda had answered his prayers, and he surrendered even without listening to him. And then on that day, there was no scheduled speaker for class. So this sannyasi, he gave class, and then he heard from him, and that confirmed he should surrender unto him. And from there, and then in that class, he inquired. He inquired. He inquired about. He had some questions, and from the answers he got, he could understand. Yes, this is his spiritual master. So then later he took initiation from him. So from there we can understand that first we have to surrender and then listen. And then if we have any questions or not doubts, but inquiries, then the spiritual master can answer the inquiries, and he will actually reveal the truth, because he has seen the truth himself. So this is actual the perfection of renunciation. Just like the gopis. The gopis, they renounced everything. I mean, everything they renounced. They renounced their children, their families, just to serve Krishna, to give him pleasure. Of course, they are very special personalities, but they're showing us how to renounce that. To renounce their wife, their families. They're showing by example that they were that they could see that Krishna was the object of their love. Krishna was the object of their love, and therefore they still looked after their so-called husbands and so-called children. But Krishna was their first love. And Krishna was the object of their love, and therefore internally they renounced everything. Externally, they did their duty. They did their duty, and so therefore, so Krishna could be happy. They served him, and of course Srimati Radharani, of course, together, and to keep Krishna happy. Now, also, the example is, I heard a lecture the other day. Srila Prabhupada was talking about how Arjuna was a sannyasi. Even though he was a grahastha, he was a sannyasi. And the reason Prabhupada explained that on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he saw when he was facing his chariot, on the chariot, he saw his family members in front of him. His cousins, nephews, uncles, and he knew that he had to fight them. And so therefore, when Krishna ordered him, Arjuna, fight for me, and after getting through all the arguments he put forward, he did it. And because he followed Krishna's instruction, he was a sannyasi, because he actually renounced his family, because he knew they were going to die, because he understood that they weren't going to die, that they were spirit soul, and so therefore there was no need to lament. So there he followed Lord Krishna's instruction, and he fought for him. And so therefore he was like a sannyasi. So we can, of course, we cannot. So the principle there is that, or the principle to apply is that, of course, we can't kill our family relatives. We can't kill our relatives. Physically, we cannot kill. But if we see them, see them as spirit souls, and we can kill the materialistic mentality and the bodily conception of life. This is how we also can follow in the path of Arjuna by killing the bodily conception of life of our relatives and family members, by seeing them as spirit souls, and that they will never die. They'll just take birth again in another body. And if they're devotees and they think of Krishna at the time of departure, they'll go to the spiritual world. And so therefore we should generally not. I know it's very difficult for when we see family members depart from this world. But even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna, why are you lamenting for something that is not worthy of you? And so therefore, Krishna and Arjuna was showing us that we have to kill the bodily concept of life of our family and relatives and see them as spirit souls, and somehow or other leave them to get the mercy of Krishna and Sri Guru. And therefore, this is the perfection of renunciation. Just let Krishna do, because we cannot do anything ourselves, because we're dependent on the mercy of the spiritual master and Krishna. We're totally dependent on them, and therefore we're actually helpless. We're completely helpless. We can't do anything. So therefore we just have to take shelter of the lotus feet of the spiritual master, and by his mercy we'll get Krishna, and by the mercy of Krishna we'll get the spiritual mercy. We get the spiritual master. Like last weeks, few days, I've been. We sing every morning Samdava Lila Loka, but I'm just pointing to myself and not pointing to anyone else here. But I was thinking, just one Mangalati. I'm singing these words, but do I know the English translation? No. Do we sing the English? Do we know what we're singing? Of course, the first verse is that by the benediction of the ocean of mercy, the spiritual master, we get the spiritual master. And the last verse is, by the mercy of the spiritual master, we can get Krishna and make advancements. So such is the personality the spiritual master is. And therefore, we can do nothing of ourselves. If we think we're doing something for ourselves, this is our false ego. And false ego can be very subtle, it can be very gross. And because this material world is full of, say, booby traps, we think we're doing great, wonderful service, but then Maya will come in and make us proud. Pride will come in. And as we heard yesterday, pride can be a very dangerous thing in spiritual life. Pride can lead to many a downfall in spiritual life. So therefore we have to remain humble and be more tolerant than the tree, give all respect to others, and like that. So this is renunciation, that Krishna, he owns everything. We don't. How can we renounce something we don't own? Krishna, he's the owner, he's the maintainer, and he's protector. So therefore, what we have to do is just enter the path of devotional service. This is the perfection of renunciation. So I'll stop there. Any questions or? Please, Mataji, please don't make it too difficult.
Thank you, Prabhu, for a very wonderful class. You said that pride is very dangerous for our spiritual life. So how can we avoid this pride to appear? And if it is there, then how do we get rid of it?
Mahaprabhu, he said we have to be more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, give up all false prestige and give all respect to others. He says this in the Zastakam prayers. He says this: if we can do that, we'll avoid pride.
Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for a brilliant class. So my question is, we have this, you mentioned, we kill the materialistic mentality by seeing them as spirit souls and not this body.
Yeah.
But sometimes you may run into people who make you forget that reality because of the way their attitude or their behavior is towards devotees. So when you're in such a predicament or circumstance, yes, you want to tolerate, but how much should you tolerate and how much should you just let go?
First of all, we have to, in other words, you're saying, in one sense, that this some might be too negative, you're saying, basically. So one should, with full respect, they are devotees, you give the devotees, you should respect them and honor them. But at the same time, if that negativity is affecting you, one should not really, in one sense, associate with them, in one sense. Then one should, because negativity breeds negativity, and positiveness produces positiveness. So I have found out myself that even so many years ago, I was negative about certain things, and then I would talk to some other devotees about it, and then the ones I talked to about my negativity, they were also feeling negative. So then they started to. One of them said to me, "I'm sorry, Prabhu, you're too negative for me." And he never was honest. He was straightforward devotee. But he said it in a nice way. He said, "You're too negative for me. I'm sorry, but I cannot. You're a nice, nice person, but you're too negative to me. You're affecting me." And that actually taught me a lesson that I should not be negative, because it's affecting your own spirituality. Because Krishna consciousness, everything is positive. Even this COVID thing now is a positive thing, very positive. And even now, there's so many positive things coming out of this, so much. Even though it seems like it's a negative thing, but so many positive things coming out of it. Devotees are making so much spiritual advancement while in this period. So much. I don't want to mention no names, but there's a certain person in this room who's making just a nice service, and but nothing positive. Krishna consciousness is always positive. There's nothing negative. If we have negativity and we've got some difficulties in spiritual life, it's nothing to do. It's that person who's negative. It's nothing to do with spiritual life. It's nothing to do with them. Nothing to do with them. They have this negativity because they have some problem and they don't know how to, let's say, handle the problem or the issue that's involved. And then that, of course, is going to lead to offenses. Yes, Sanat Goswami.
That's very interesting, this renunciation, and especially if we feel something's negative. But we'd never say that if we knew that it's Krishna. It's not that circumstance. It's a reflection of how your own character.
Yeah.
In other words, if we see fault, that's what we recognize it, because that fault is in ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's just a mirror.
Mirror image, yeah.
It's just a mirror. And if we know everything comes from Krishna, we think, what's Krishna trying to tell me? Now that's the way, that's positive. About myself. Why I'm not handling, why I can't tolerate. Oh dear, and so if we start to look at that, but the other thing is, you talk about renunciation. It says in the 12 names of Lord Chaitanya, he's the crest jewel of renunciants. He's the crest jewel. Now why is that? Anybody know? Why is the crest jewel even more than Krishna? Even though he's Krishna himself. It's because he renounces godhood.
Yeah.
He renounces his godhood. He's a servant. So he's the crest jewels of renunciants. Even though Krishna is the supreme servant, because he is serving all of us. isn't he? Every moment. But Lord Chaitanya came to reveal. You know, it's like when you confess or you think. The renunciation is that you're confessing that you're hopeless. Lord Chaitanya is saying that. I have no love for Krishna. Why am I living? He's showing this mood that actually what we should feel. And he's experiencing those feelings, those actual feelings. And that's part of his Yogamaya potency. That actually he feels it's more wonderful to become a devotee than God. He likes it. He likes to become a devotee. He's having fun as a devotee. So, yeah, though he's the Christual renunciation, he's after something as well. He wants to be a devotee.
Yeah.
So, there you go, simultaneously one and different, you know.
Yeah.
It's full of, things. But if we look at ourselves, actually, generally what we see that may be negative, actually, is a reflection of our own nature, if we're not careful. So use that as a situation to see, what's Krishna telling me about myself? That's a nice way.
Yeah.
Because generally it is that way, certainly.
Yeah, it's like one time Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Thakur was somewhere and one of his disciples came to him, a brahmachari, and he was saying so many negative things about a certain brahmachari, another brahmachari, and he was going on for about half hour. Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Thakur, he said nothing. And then he said, after he finished, he said, "Is there anything good about him?" He says, "Yes." He says he leads very good kirtan. He said, "Why didn't you say that in the first place?" Yeah, look at the good. Yeah, forget the bad. Look at the good. Because we're all full of faults. I am. I'm drowning in the ocean. I'm drowning in the ocean in the ocean of faults. But by the mercy of Guru and Gauranga, I'm keeping my head out of the water, that's all. So just see the good and forget the bad. And then Krishna will actually will make an arrangement for any bad, that the bad things, that devotee will be purified. Krishna or the spiritual master, or through the spiritual master, will make arrangements for that person to be purified.
Can I give some homework to the class? Look at 12, Bhagavad Gita 12, 13 and 14. Translation and purport. You'll know about a devotee and how they feel. So it's Bhagavad Gita 12, 13 and 14. Look at that for your homework. It's a good one.
Okay. I think finish there. Thank you.